Christmas time in the Bahamas. A time for celebrating the birth of Christ, fun and festivities, and lots of gifts. But it's mostly family and music that really gets you in the spirit.
Machine home eating dinner with my family on a Boxing Day. On
Christmas,
who does that? Who does
And every year on the 26th of December, in the wee hours of the morning, one family in particular just
blew the competition out of the water.
The One Family Junkanoo Group and Community Organization revolutionized Junkanoo in the Bahamas.
Well, we're in the world red, white, and blue could win no parade. That's all they were saying, but they didn't really know. We dropped so much different styles on the parade that morning.
Changed the lives of a community.
All of the elderly people in the road jumping up and celebrating.
And set record after record as the newest and most dynamic group to ever rip up the boulevard.
We had the crowd dancing from the crack of the gate all the way to the end of the gate.
But for the founding members, building this group from the ground up, it was no stroll in the park.
City of Gold showed up on the screen in the middle of the night when we were laying down.
I was tired, extremely tired, all of us were.
It's a chronicle of a people requiring a little bit more.
The only thing the Saxons at that time did was we went to Bay Street. It was no organization or nothing like that.
Extremely high doses of bravado.
Tell them stop crying. Come get it. We got it.
They were annihilated.
We'll beat them now and we'll beat them again. Later on, wherever they want to beat them.
And a people who would not go away and give up easily.
March or die.
For many, it's a group that defines a huge part of who they are.
A warrior for life.
But it was not an easy road.
We had to 8 forts before we got our first win.
This is the unexpected, funny,
That's what I said.
and inspiring story
We are a community group inspiring all those in the community to understand that the power of God is in all of us.
of how a group of neighborhood friends and others built and nurtured one of the most amazingly dynamic shows to ever rush over the hill and down Bay Street.
What was the reason One Family broke off from the Saxons?
Boy.
To answer this question, we have to go back to the year before the split.
There was a tie for second place with 3,485 points between Roots and the Saxons. With 3,640 points, the Valley Boys.
After being slighted by a tie for second place on Boxing Day 1992, the Saxons had to settle for third place behind the fledgling Carnival Roots Junkanoo group as their main rival, the Aquapure Valley Boys, ran away with yet another 2 straight
Best
victories.
music, best adult. What is
The
your
Saxons
formula?
would watch helplessly as their nemesis conquered 7 out of the 9 parades between 1989 and 1993, while they scraped only 1, which was a hollow victory, sharing first place with the Valley Boys on New Year's Day 1991.
I think there probably as many reasons as there are people, depending on who you speak with. But from my vantage point,
There was a degree of frustration as far as leaving. I won't say breakaway. Rory and those guys had a meeting in Taylor Street the Tuesday before we officially met at Arlene and Silbert's house, which was on the 16th of January 1993. And at the time,
A number of Junkanoos from Taylor Street, including myself, Kay Davis, Chippy, Danny, Darren, we have been having numerous conversations about actually doing a individual piece. And the boys from Taylor Street just rushing around that individual piece. So we decided in '92 that is what we will do. And when we had the meeting, about 200 persons show up to the meeting. So we realized then we had to form a group.
They motivated us, and and they can hear from us. They can hear from us for some time,
and the other thing was we were failing miserably as a group. And I think the nucleus of this group back in 1993 wanted more, right? And that's how One Family was formulated and the idea came about.
The year before we broke off, the Saxons had 1 million people on Bay Street. And the group was so large that it couldn't really be controlled, and it was an opportunity that some of the members of Gay Shack had been talking about for quite some time, that they wanted to have more control over the presentation on Bay Street. And I remember there were quite a few people who were for the idea and quite a few people who were against the idea.
A few of us in the Taylor Street area, we decided we could handle this thing too. So let's try see if we could get more out of it. And we were looking really as a community-based group, for the people in the area, to help them to do something and keep them positive and to grow.
By the time Roy Saunders finished with his speech, everybody was saying, let's go. Because, the background is that One Family was really formed around the talent, the charisma, and the family of Bernard Gay Davis. Gay was one of the leaders of the Saxons and carried a lead costume. And over the years with the Saxons, he had attracted a large group of very talented Junkanoos. So Gay held a lot of sway. And so when Rory was able to convince Gay that it would be a good idea to break, a lot of people who were associated with Gay Shack automatically went.
So naturally,
it was an easy decision for me. Wherever Gay was going to be, that's where I was going to be. And Gay was going to break off from the Saxons, so automatically I was going to break off.
One Family wanted to be a part of something bigger than itself and Junkanoo at large, so they set out to differentiate themselves by starting unique initiatives and donating to the surrounding communities which they served.
We wanted to be involved in the community. And the only thing the Saxons at that time did was we went to Bay Street. It was no organization or nothing like that. So that was the first meeting. We bounced around several ideas, and I can name that first meeting, and I don't want to leave out anybody, but the core people was there was Silbert, Arlene, Rory, myself, Gay, Boyd Popel, Tyrone Fernanda, Matt Morrow, Stand by Inside, Gippy, and a few others that just don't come to my mind right now. But that was how it all got started on the 16th as a formal meeting.
One Family was born in Gay Shack, but christened and confirmed in Silbert and Arlene's house. So the initial decision to leave the Saxons was made in Gay's yard. And when we decided that we were actually going to form a group, we then started to meet up at Arlene and Silbert's house. That's where Arlene and Jackson, along with some others, sort of formed the administrative framework, and they wrote a constitution for the group.
I can remember the meeting at, again, Arlene and Silbert's house, when the name was thrown out, The Family. I can remember that name was thrown out, The Family. And I think Gippy threw it out, The Family.
It was thrown out as The Family,
and
initially,
that's why
and Gay A
said
came
one because
family.
there had been another smaller group that had been named
Right.
The Family.
Gay
and
was the one that
Gay
came.
put the one.
Put the
And
one in
then
The Family.
because his shack in Taylor Street had been known as the ultimate warriors, we decided we wanted to be warriors, and I put the excellence.
Yes.
And that's how that went.
But one of the things we didn't want to be known as is warriors for the warlike,
right.
connotations that would have come off warriors.
So the excellence
So the
toned
excellence,
that down.
right. Even though we were warriors, but we were excellence, warriors for excellence, which became the motto.
Right.
One Family's name comes from Jackson and Gay. And I think in the fullness of time, it's been a tremendous name, very uplifting, and it says a lot about what became the vision of One Family to sort of embrace the community in a way that went beyond Junkanoo.
Jackson also insisted on the family. That was a critical thing.
There is no other activity, including the churches, that provides the opportunity to develop the talent of the young Bahamians like Junkanoo.
He said to us, it is as important for us to win on East Street as it is for us to win on Bay Street. And that is what launched a very vibrant community outreach program. He said there's a difference between a committee and a team. One family has never had committees. We have always had teams. He designed the logo. He was the one who suggested that we use the ant.
Proverbs 6 and 6, go to the ant,
thou sluggard, consider her ways
and be wise, because it really talked about the smallest of God's creatures coming together and creating extraordinary things.
And so it is almost impossible to talk about the formation of one family without talking about Jackson. His hand was so heavy on what the group would eventually become and the direction that we would take.
And then he drew out an ant head for our logo, and he gave it to me, and I sort of finessed it. I was the one who put the heart in the middle of the forehead. And when Rihanna, years later, came up with this song, Love on the Brain, I thought, wow, man, that's really one family, because of that heart on the brain. So in other words, we think with our heart.
He was very, very impactful as far as the one family was concerned. What we did, we met every Saturday at Arlene's and Silber's house. And actually, we met out of the 52 weeks. I think we met 47 times in the initial year. And, the meetings were formalized. I became the chairman, the first chairman, and Arlene was the secretary. Silbert was the group manager, if I can recall correctly. And it was comprised of steering team, and then it evolved into the executive team. So then we had the design team, we had the backline team, and we had the dancers team. So we didn't want a leader. We all looked at the time we did it, we wanted to say, we're gonna sit down, no one person was gonna make a decision for us. We were tired of that, all right? We wanted to say, we can sit down as a team and we bring the minds together and say, this is what we wanted to do.
But family, as with any democracy, there will be disagreements.
Those were the beginnings. I remember when we were meeting up at Arlene and Silbert with everybody. Man, we used to have some knockdown, drag-out fights. I mean, we'd get angry at each other and shout at each other and argue and almost come to blows. But then very, very early in our meetings, we got the habit of, no matter what kind of contention there was in the meetings, at the end of the meetings, we would always pray. And Dave Pott Smith was the one who always prayed, and he always said, a family that prays together stays together. So that was the beginning of the importance of prayer in one family.
But despite those fights, they always kept the number one goal in mind.
Everybody was excited, let me just put it like, everybody was excited to be together and say, okay, this is what we really want to do. And it was almost, well, count me in. I'm in, I am in, I'm in, and that's what we got.
Although we knew him as the charismatic face of one family, he was not the first one out the door after the decision to form a new group.
Now, my brother was a different story. He didn't want to leave the Saxons. And, he had an allegiance with Wooler and a couple of the other guys. But when he saw that his brother was leaving, that was the deciding factor for him. But he had no intention of leaving the Saxons. He became a member of one family because Stan Burnside was a member of one family.
Where we insisted that we did not want an ultimate leader. It really created an avenue for the entire group to grow. Even though in our initial stages we went to Bay Street in a competition and we got beat, we grew. Every year we grew more and more and more because we had a team and we collectively took responsibility for everything that was occurring in the group.
Remember that bit about resetting the standards?
We would have a steering team that would be the leader of our group. The steering team is comprised of a representative from each section of the group. The chairman is the chairman of the steering team. It is the steering team that is the leader of one family. And so theoretically, every member of one family has a say in the decision-making process because you feed your opinion into the person who is representing you on the steering team, and then by majority vote, the decisions are made. And the other thing about it is that is really unusual, is that the chairman of the steering team is elected and the position is rotational. So we had Chippy, and then we had Jackson, and then we had Darren, and then we had Rory, and we went on to Porky and Darren Turnquest, and now today we have the first female chairman of a major group in New Providence.
Unsurprisingly, this new modus operandi has even taken hold in some older and more established groups.
Some of them are now trying to pattern themselves after one family, particularly from a structural point of view, like the Valley Boys. Even though Gus was the leader, the next thing you know, they had a chairman.
Yes, that's true.
And the various group now, the Saxons have a chairman outside of Wooler. Yes. So I think a lot of the groups learn a lot of lessons from one family in terms of how we organized ourselves.
One of the things that we were determined to be from the beginning was different. We prided ourselves on that. This was not a group of people who wanted to blend in with the status quo.
One family would find themselves unique and special in a very unexpected way, being forced to take an unconventional route to Bay Street, their first time out.
One of the most significant hurdles we encountered in our first initial parade on Bay Street, we are the only senior group in the last 30 years that went to Bay Street in their initial parade without funding from the government. And that was withheld from us specifically because some of the leaders of the then established groups said that we will not get it. So it wasn't an easy road.
You know, it was difficult for a new group to get to Bay Street without funding. And we were very fortunate that our first chairman, Hubert Chipman, and Jackson in particular was able to get Michael Dingman to fund us completely the first few years. But between those two and others, we were able to get the funding to get to Bay. There's so many people who are involved with making one family what it is today, you know, and many of them will never get any credit for what their contribution was. And that's really the sad part about it, because one family didn't happen overnight.
I can remember one day. It was so, I mean, you would have thought that we had $40,000. Silu was the treasurer, came and said, we have $40 in the bank, right? And I think somebody gave us a check for $10, $50, we ran for that.
So after breaking through and making it to Bay, it was time to start claiming some trophies.
One family was very confident that we were going to do something from the very first year. And we took a humiliating whooping the first few years.
In fourth position, 3,040 points. One family.
Those losses translated from deeds to words and over time have become colloquial classics.
They used to tease my brother Jackson, who was a practicing architect, that he was building forts in Bay Street, you know, because we were getting fourth every lap.
Well, the one that stuck out was Ford family.
People start teasing me, say, oh, you're Ford family.
I remember Ford family.
So he started calling us Fort Castle or Fort Charlotte or whatever it was.
Ford
Castle.
We had been 8 forts before we get our first win.
That's the Fort Hill.
Yeah.
Where one of our shacks was. That's where Six Park was. So it was like, I mean, that was perfect for us at the time, you know?
I believe in 1993 when we came out with Bush music, we got Fort, right? But I think we were just paying our dues, and I don't think we really deserve Fort. But when you're a new group in town, you get your initiation. Your initiation starts with Fort, right?
But some people are so die-hard that nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, can ever sway them no matter what.
Mrs. Davis, Gay's mother, she was the soul of one family. She was this beautiful, giving woman who always had a smile on her face, always had something positive to say, and who always had her arms open to welcome all of the thousands of people who came into Gay's yard like that was their yard. She believed in one family, boy, and as far as she was concerned, one family could never lose. The first parade we went on Bay Street, and we went out there confident in everything. But I remember that some of the pieces for our brass didn't arrive on time. So the fellas went down with just their pants, and you could see that they were missing parts of it. And our music wasn't quite up to par. Our costumes weren't quite there. So we all knew we got beat. We got beat fair and square. We lost that parade. When I came back in Miss Davis' yard the next day, Miss Davis said, "Man, they gotta stop cheating, man. Man, they rob us, man. They too like cheat." You know. But as far as she's concerned, we could never ever.
Some members even started to doubt their decision to lead the Saxons.
My good friend, I always mention this, Taron Fernando. And we were walking over by Princess Margaret going back to Grandstand after the third fort. And he said to me, he said, "Chip, you think we made a mistake?" I said, "Boy, you can't turn back now, boy. We got to keep going." He said, "Boy, we might have made a mistake." I said, "Boy, no, we got to keep going."
I remember that conversation quite well.
The amazing thing about one family was every time we would leave Bay Street humiliated, we would get more people joining one family.
We was improving, growing and improving every year. Because when you look at the scores, we're getting closer and closer, and we know it's just a matter of time before we got over that name. Because we was improving.
And we went from strength to strength. Every year, we increased. We got better.
So there was something about the spirit of the warrior that attracted people, you know.
They can't hold live wire too long. For sure enough, we used to win our parade. And you're like they're trying to say, I would want one family beat me because they can't beat nobody.
One day we can get them. One day we can get them. They can let us go one day.
Yeah,
they can let us go one day. Let's keep waiting, Ricky. Let's keep waiting.
In fact, when they had 6 major A groups, the group leaders used to say they'd prefer to get 5th than to get 4th. You know, because say 4th is one family that belongs to one family, you know.
And then, one special New Year's morning, something unexpected happened.
In 4th position, 4,449 points, the Saxons. In 3rd position, 4,830 points,
Roots. In second position. In second position. Only 4 points behind the winner with 5,086 points. The Valley Boys. The winner with 5,090 points. One family.
I think that was Africa.
Yeah.
Yes, African costume.
That was so funny. Listen here. I remember it was a very rainy night. And all of us were battling, right? When I say battling, we were battling. And the word came, by Junkanoo's been postponed, whatever. So, we jumped down off the scaffolds or whatever we were, and we started to just rest and go to sleep or whatever have you.
They couldn't make up their mind if the parade was going on or wasn't going on. It was like sort of touch and go. When I got a little tired, I say, something, man, I ain't got no damn parade, man.
We settled down for a long winter snap, but we kept the television on, and there was a replay was on TV. And then in the middle of the replay,
you could tell it wasn't the old parade no more. It was actually a live parade because you could see I think it was daylight. I can't remember. So then
the word came by, well, the Valley Boys is going down doing their first lap.
Hey, Daddy, be on TV. I say, what?
So he started laughing. Man, these niggas joking. Right? They joking. No, the Valley Boys on Main Street.
And here come the Valley Boys with the City of Gold. And we were the group right after the Valley Boys. This was the actual parade that was on, and in our case, we were in Winter Nights.
Man, look here. That's the fastest I ever pack up a costume, put on that truck and get the Big Street in my life.
I have never experienced anything like that. We jump up, we had to grab everything. I had to grab gloves, hat, bang, costume.
And our shack was on Fortune Castle, right? In the old Dr. Burnside's dental office. So all of us scurried to get our costumes and our pieces and whatever.
And I'm on the back of the truck holding my costume from Winton Heights to downtown. And we smoked down Shirley Street. And we came up around past Gregory Arch. And when we got to George Street, we went down George Street, which, by the way, was one way still, going the other way. And we went down George Street and we pulled up right in front of the Pompeii Museum, right there in the middle of the road. And everybody came running to help us to take the pieces off the truck. And at least 10 people dressed me because one family was in the gate. And that was incredible. I think it just added to all of the adrenaline of that morning. But that was something.
One family was in the road, lined up. And I was a part of a group called Six Pack, right? And we must have had, I can't tell you how many costumes we had. Must be 20 some or more costumes. And we came down the Frederick Street, I think it was. And we just fell right in line. And the entire group, the spirits just lifted. And the music rolled over. And
when we got them, they already went down the boulevard. We called them on Shirley Street, getting ready to go up.
And I remember the second lap is what really got me. Can't McPhee. We went upstairs. I can't remember which store it was. Where old Mademoiselle was. We were upstairs for some reason, and we saw, God bless the dead, Gus Cooper, right? He lining up his group for the second lap, I think, because we had a really powerful first lap. And Ken says, "Boy, you can line them up. Just come it." Just come it. Right? And lo and behold, we end up winning that parade. I think that was the beginning of us signifying that, hey, we're here and we're strong and we're going to be dominant. You got to come deal with us. You can't remember that? You sleeping? That's why you sleeping. Everybody was trying to finish their costume. You sleeping?
Joe was the one who was sleeping.
Yeah. When Chairman fall off the scaffold.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember that one. Tell you the truth.
You can't remember because he was sleeping straight.
Yeah, in that time, I could never go around the clock. And so I can never do around the clock, so therefore I can remember that one.
I can remember that morning very vividly. We were in Grandstand getting ready to go to Bay Street, and Gregory Karuka Campbell, who was major, who coined the thing, they come in for the Saxons back in those days. And Gregory, we coming up, going over Blue Hill Road Hill, and he said, let's go get him, Ungawa, right? I'll never forget that morning. And he had this spear and this shield, and he was on the side of the group, and as we went down, it was Ungawa. It was a morning where we didn't really need to rush. It was like we knew we had won the parade, right? And we rushed our hearts out that morning, and there was no question about who was going to win that morning.
I was happy we went down because I say that was the first victory, and I felt like I contributed to the win.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to miss that.
Yeah, that was special.
I had to guess that first one. Yeah, oh yeah.
Special.
I told them, stop beating people and come beat drum.
Yeah, horrible thing. All to the front of the beating. They want boys say drum. They come here to me who in the back of the room. They want boys my drum. Yeah, I mean, horrible kill me with that.